We're live.
We are wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. It is the holiday season and we're here with our 4 holiday talks, and it's to support you through the holidays on different things. Today is our talk on family. I'm Mia Sines and this is Lori Montre, and you're with the Greatest You Academy and Revolution. So welcome.
Welcome. Yes, thank you for joining us. And we wanted to be able to support people in the holidays. It brings up a lot of things for a lot of people, different aspects of it. And one of the big things that people talk to us about is around family and relationships. And it may be that your relationship with your family is very wonderful, and you really enjoy and look forward to the holidays so that you guys can be together and experience the beautiful aspects of the holidays together. But I think for most people there's some aspect of stress, or maybe just not feeling 100% comfortable with certain aspects of family life around the holidays. And so we just wanted to come today and bring maybe some perspective and maybe some ways that you can support yourself and feel really grounded in yourself and in the experience that you want for your holiday, because the holidays are special. They're a part of time that's set aside from the rest of life and can be such a beautiful opportunity for just connection with yourself and with whatever it is spiritually that you connect to. So we've got some different points that we want to just bring up with respect to family and holidays. And these will apply to a lot of the aspects, the different aspects and elements of the holidays. But the first thing I want to address is always, right? I'm sure I'll get some eye rolls, but it's what, Mia? What am I going to say?
It's an inside job.
It's the nervous system, right?
Right.
Yes, because I'm always talking about
which is an inside job, right?
It is, of course. It's all an inside job. You're right. We could start with that umbrella for sure. But your nervous system is such an important player in every single thing that we talk about in your everyday life. And so as we think about that, the holidays are a stressful time. I don't care if you love it, if you've looked forward to, this season for the last, 10 months and you just couldn't wait for it. And it's still stressful. It's stressful because things are different. It's stressful because, there's a lot more to do. Whether it's decorating your house, you may love to decorate your house. You may love to look around and see all these beautiful decorations. You can't wait to put them up and don't want to take them down, but it's still a stressor. Being with family, right, can be stressful, and there's a lot of food around, and the expectation that, how do I enjoy and not indulge in a way that leaves me feeling, like I hurt myself, or I'm not doing what's in alignment with my other goals. There's financially, right? We have to often, we're thinking about gifts and the other things that go along with the season. And we might feel like we're being left out if we're not caught up in that, Christmas gifts and all the different things, or whatever holiday, because there are certainly other holidays right now I'm recognizing. So, all of these things create a stressor. And again, it doesn't mean that you don't like it or that you see it as a negative, but it's still a lot for your nervous system. And so just recognizing, checking in with yourself and noticing where your nervous system is. Are you feeling more easily irritated or overwhelmed or shut down or just, worked up? And noticing that, because if you are, then obviously interactions with people are going to feel bigger. You might get triggered more easily. You might just feel like you need some time to yourself. So being aware of that and not beating yourself up and saying, oh gosh, what's wrong with me? I'm a Grinch. I should be out, enjoying this. Why am I snappy? Why do I feel like I just want to, go under my bed and hide for a little bit? And when we understand that it has nothing to do with us as, loving people. It's really just about needing to make sure that our nervous systems have time and space to regulate, and we're not overtaxing them all the time. So of course, the nervous system being something really important to be thinking about, because it's going to have a direct impact on how you relate to your family. So if you need to show up an hour later because you needed to take some quiet time for yourself, or if you need to, cut out 1 or 2 engagements so that you can make sure that you have the time and space you need to just decompress, even if that is, watching something on your own. And I know, Mia, you've got some other ideas for us
Well, it was
to
just
just
an add-on to
self-care.
this. Yeah, it's an add-on because when we think about the holidays, so let's think about the holidays. How does it make you feel? You're probably, like Lori said, you're probably excited, you're probably nervous. You've got all these emotions going on. Get down to what the holidays truly mean and what you want for them, for you. I think of the holidays as more of my self-care time, because I focus in on what I can do in order to stay and maintain, if I'm around a lot of people, in that up-leveled experience. I'm thinking, as we're talking here, about my life of first being a child. This is like all of us, first being a child, then having our own lives, and what is that like? And then some of us have had children and some of us have not. So on both sides, there's a dichotomy that we have to deal with. And then what is it like as we're getting older, right? We can create such an amazing experience. When Lori talks about the nervous system, that is the number one thing that we need to get in alignment in order to be and maintain our calmness. We can have an Uncle Bob or Sam or whomever that is a troublemaker in the holidays, or you may have the most loving family, right? And you're still stressed out. There's a lot, as women especially, but as humans, we push through, or we plow through, because it's snowing today where I am, so I'm using all those fun things. We push through the holidays and we don't get to enjoy them. So really they start for us, because at least in the Western world, they start for us on Halloween, and we go through till the new year, or even till Valentine's Day. So it's a push, 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 and people aren't thinking about their money, their time, what they truly want to do, their nervous system, or the tools that you've been learning and that you've been implementing in your life. Many times that goes by the wayside because we become askew from who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to talk, in future weeks, as we're getting closer and closer to, the expectations around what we believe the holidays should be, right? And how we have to play to that, right? It has to look like XYZ. How many of us have taken the time, and I won't go too much into it because it is a topic for another time, but how many of us have really taken the time and said, what do I want them to look like? What is an authentic expression of the holidays to me? What is my greatest holiday, right? We talk about being the greatest you and being connected to the greatest you. What do your holidays look like when you are? And so today we're talking specifically about, what do my family interactions look like when I'm being truly authentic to me, and it can be hard to do that sometimes if you have expectations around, this is what we always do, so it needs to look just like this. You have other people to consider, and as we're, discussing in our topic for this week, so it can be a little bit more challenging. So Mia, what advice would you give somebody who, maybe they have, their nuclear family, and there's expectations, there's, this is what we've always done, and there's, and I would say that this is a personal experience of mine.
It's tradition.
Yeah, many years ago, before I really got grounded in what I wanted it to look like, and it was so much fanfare, and I was literally, the 12-foot tree that had to be, every branch had to have, and just the 35 person dinner party, and the gifts and the gifts and the gifts for hundreds of people, and the wrapping and all the presents had to look a certain, and it was so, I really dreaded the holidays. It was a time of just nothing but stress. And that's an extreme example. So I'm not saying everybody, has that experience, but it does kind of serve to be thinking about, what did that mean to me? And that had nothing to do with an authentic, expression of the holidays for me. Like, I am listening to you talk about you seeing it as a time of self-care and a time to be slower, right? Not a time to be crazed and everything. And so what I recognized, and I have the benefit of being able to know both types of holidays, right? But so I know what I was like, and what I brought, and the connection that I had with people when I was crazy trying to make the holidays this amazing, incredible thing that you could see on a Hallmark, movie, and the kind of quintessential everything, and I know who I was and how I showed up, not only for myself, but I wasn't connected with anyone else. It wasn't like I was, full of joy, and I did those things out of love, but I wasn't connected with them. And so I look at that, and then I look at holidays now, where the focus is on these, really small but meaningful things that I get to do. I don't feel pressure about doing. I get to do, and I do them with so much love and so much joy that I get to be present with these people, with my beautiful, kids and partner, and I just get to experience that, and they get to have me, right? So before, they got Hallmark, but I wasn't there because I was,
You were doing all the stuff.
Yeah, and I wasn't connected with me because my nervous system was in overdrive.
You don't have time
just
to
a
connect
mess.
with you.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's, I would much rather give them what I give them now, which is myself, right? So it's really stepping back and saying, what are the most important things that I can do, but stay inside my capacity?
Yeah.
What do I have the capacity to do that's the most important for me, so that I can still be myself and connected with myself and show up with them and enjoy our time together?
Most of what Lori and I do is also being aware of your circumstances, like we're talking about, and what you're living in. We take you on different experiences like the Dream, Believe, Create, where you can expand your awareness into something else. Oftentimes, most people are already praying or meditating or focusing, doing the work. So it's the same concept. What do you want your holidays to look like? They don't have to be like when you were a child, or they could be, or you could grow out of it. But you've got to know what you want to do and what it feels like. I remember our holiday, my life was chaotic, and I'm grateful for the experience now that I'm through it. But growing up, I never really slept much. I loved Christmas, but every Christmas Eve, there were huge fights. Every night there was a huge fight. And we would pray that on Christmas Eve, there would not be a huge fight. And that Christmas morning, we'd all be waiting for our parents to hurry up so we could go out, and enjoy. That seemed kind of magical, but I took what I experienced as a child and I've looked at it and I've said, so my first husband and I started a tradition where we start our Christmas on the 23rd. We took the kids out to dinner. So then Christmas Eve was on the 24th and Christmas was on the 24th. By noon on Christmas Day, we're done. I'm done completely, because I would see my mother go absolutely nuts. That's a loving word for it. So that I learned. But the situation where we also have relatives coming in and out and different personalities connecting, we need to be aware of what we want to experience and what we don't. We have a few things like the idea of minimize your idle time. So when you are with your group of people and you have a relative, male, female, it doesn't matter, that drives you absolutely insane or takes over the whole conversation, make sure that you are doing something that doesn't allow you to get angry and upset. You could bring a jigsaw puzzle. You could play on your phone a game. distract the negative attention away. You could go help in the kitchen. You could play with the little children. You could bring coloring books for the little kids. There's a ton of things you can do to stay away. Also, stay away from politics, political talking. That's really not the greatest thing. And don't be caught off guard. Be grounded, guys. This is why increase your self-care. So there's 4 things we're saying here. So increase your self-care because this is your time for you. When and if you guys have ever read the Mirror book that I give out, it talks about sitting on the couch and actually looking at our life and creating it from there. We have to give ourselves what we need, which means that if you find time to do your meditation in the morning and it really helps you before you get involved with work or family or chaos, do your meditation. If a hot bath helps, always be focusing on what you need, because it's not about taking away from others. This is how we can give to others in a very calm and concise way. Be aware of what you're thinking and feeling. And also, you have the option to not do something because it's your choice, right? We're adults. It may make somebody upset, but we have the option of not attending. That's a thing too.
Yeah, or attending on your terms.
Yes, and what's the most loving? Think about it. Take it from a space of love. How do you want to feel? How do you want to make others feel? And what do you want to receive and give at the same time from this experience? Yeah.
Recognizing, like in my example, less is more, in the sense of if it's allowing you to stay in your place of connection, in connection with your greatest self, your truth, your who you are and who you want to be. And so I love, what you're saying about, first of all, noticing when you're starting to get triggered, when you're first starting to get triggered. And that may be when you start getting ready to go to an event or to have someone come. That may be the first point of being triggered because you've had a lot of experiences perhaps with a person. And so just the thought of them, your mind and brain says, okay, I know what's going to happen here. And it actually tries to protect you by putting you on guard so that you won't have those similar situations, or that you'll be able to prepare and defend yourself and protect yourself. So when you first start to notice that you're getting triggered, that your nervous system is being activated, that's the time to do the things that help you and that ground you. And I'd love, Mia, if it's okay, I'd love to share one of the many somatic exercises that we teach in order to give people something to help regulate their nervous system. Because it's one thing for us to say, regulate your nervous system, be aware of your nervous system. But if you haven't had a lot of experience with your nervous system, you may not know have those effective tools to be able to do that.
Before you do, which I think is great, and thank you, I want you all to know that in the Academy, which is different than our Greatest You Revolution Facebook group, in the Academy, you learn tools, somatic body, which she's going to share one of them. We have a breakdown of working on your emotional identity, like identifying what and who you are, so that you understand these processes to your core.
Yeah, for you, right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something so easy, and that's what I love. Like, it's one thing to go, be by yourself for half an hour and try to do a meditation. And often, like something like a meditation or something bigger like that, you won't be able to do if you've already moved into a triggered space. It's really hard to get yourself calmed down if you're already activated. So these exercises, the somatic work, really cuts through. It is not meant to engage your mind, right? Because your mind may be racing all over here doing its own thing. And so you might not be able to calm yourself with the mind, right? You won't be able to calm the mind with the mind. You won't be able to calm the body with the mind. So these are very basic. These are kind of primal things that activate different aspects of your nervous system. They're just really, we could say that they're primal, right? They have an effect. So this one is called the VU, and I'll explain it and then we can do it together. But what it does is we have something called the vagus nerve, which runs from our brainstem essentially down to our core, into our pelvis, and it is responsible for when we go into fight or flight, or when we're in parasympathetic. It really regulates that. It's a huge player in the nervous system. And so when we activate that, or when we cause it to vibrate, we are actually helping ourselves get into that beautiful parasympathetic rest, digest, the place where we're able to connect and be our greatest selves, right? So this exercise is very simple. All we're trying to do is to vibrate the vagus nerve. And since the vagus nerve runs here, it runs behind the vocal cords. And so when we make sound, the vocal cords, everything's vibrating, and the vagus nerve vibrates, and then we can come down into that beautiful restful place. So you can think about it. Maybe you've had the experience of using humming to calm yourself, or noticing you're singing and all of a sudden, oh, I feel so much better. And so, partly it could be the expression of the words and of those kinds of things, but also it's the vibration that's happening and stimulating your vagus nerve. So the exercise that I want to give you is something that's really effective and gets a lot of vibration going in your for your vagus nerve. And we call it the VU. And basically what it is we're going to take a nice deep breath in. And then we're going to generate the VU sound, and we're just going to let a big VU out, and we're going to hold it for as long as it feels comfortable. And we're going to try to make that sound come from our bellies and up and out, because that's how we'll get the most stimulation. So you can't do it wrong. It's not like, oh, if I don't do it perfectly, I'm not going to, stimulate the vagus nerve. And then, because like I said, you can feel something when you hum and when you sing. So that, we're doing it on even that level. So just play with it. We'll do it together, but just play with it to kind of notice, if I do it this way, if I hold it this long, what are the effects for me? Because every nervous system is different. So it can be a little bit, I remember the first time I was taught to do the VU, and actually it was in a Zoom format, and I was like very self-conscious about it. I didn't want to do it, and I didn't want to hold mine longer and have other people stop. And so I remember, and I don't want you to be distracted by that. So if you want to mute and that feels better, so that you can just be in your own VU space, I'll keep mine on so that there's one of us, you can kind of just see what mine is like, but this is in no way has to be what yours looks like. So with that in mind, I like to get grounded whenever I do any exercise, just because it really connects me with my body. And that's what, being connected with your body is the first step in nervous system regulation. So feeling my feet flat on the floor, the earth really pushing up and supporting my feet, and just connecting with, my body, my hips in the chair. And I might also do a little orienting, which is just looking around and feeding my nervous system those messages. Oh yeah, I'm safe. There's nothing in my environment that is dangerous or harmful. And that just automatically puts me in a space of openness and connection. So if we're ready, we'll go ahead and just, take that deep breath in. And then as we exhale, making the VU sound, trying to come as much from the gut as possible. VU. And I would say, doing that 2 or 3 times, just taking a nice little break in between. And I'm going to guess that you're really going to start to feel yourself kind of just go into that space of more regulation. And don't worry if, maybe if you feel yourself, you're up on like a 7 or an 8 on the 1 to 10 scale of the nervous system. Don't worry if you don't come down, into right around 5 is kind of where we always talk about being optimal. Don't worry about, am I feeling totally relaxed and at peace? It's okay. We do these things to get us used to spending more and more time in a more of that middle ground. But even if you come from a 7 or an 8 down to a 7 or a 6, that's great. And you're going to be able to navigate situations and be with people in a much more easier, more authentic way, the closer that you get. So I recognize this was like a really just a little tiny taste of, somatic experiencing, what it can do for your nervous system. And we go into this a lot more, because this is how we are able to show up and be our greatest selves in every situation, including, with our families. So I have one more point that we can talk briefly about, but Mia, anything else on that?
Yes, remember, there's always a bathroom that you can go off into. They may think you have to go to the bathroom a lot, but so, you can meditate in the bathroom. You can ground yourself in the bathroom. There's so much that you can do in there to bring yourself back to center and to go back into, you can do your literally. And
Yeah.
no less than 3 times, because in any of this type of breath work or vibrational stuff where we're working with the body catches it, right? Catches a feeling and it wants more. It doesn't want you to stop. It wants
Yes.
more energy, more flow. And then when you feel it, you don't have to continue. You can do it every so often, but it's so important to feel when you're done, not to just stop because you hit number 1 or number 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when we do get in that triggered space and we feel that maybe a little bit of fight or flight or shut down, whatever it is for you, we're releasing chemicals into the bloodstream at that point. And it takes a little bit of time for that to be dissipated and for that to leave. And so you shouldn't have expectations for yourself, that you're going to walk away for 2 minutes and be totally fine. It can take, up to 20 minutes for those chemicals once they stop being released, right? So we have to get ourselves in a space where we can stop releasing them and then give ourselves a little bit of time and space to dissipate. And so it's important to be gentle around that and not have expectations that, I should have handled that better. If you're conscious and you're trying to notice and you're doing anything to reconnect with yourself, applaud yourself. That is incredible. And it takes some practice and some time to be able to stand in these kinds of situations and not do the automatic kind of behaviors that we've always done, that these people have always brought up for us. And that brings me kind of to the last point with respect to families and interacting. And that is, try if you can to not go into this situation, your normal situations, with the same expectations that people are going to be a certain way. I'm just wrapping up. We're putting up module 10 in the Great Issue Academy, which is about relationships. And in that, we share a story about a man named Carl who had a really long-term difficult relationship with his mother-in-law. She always made him feel really belittled, and he just totally dreaded having to spend time with her at all. And for about a month, he was really working on and reading a book about, how to see people from where they've been and understand them based on, who they really were as people, instead of just, this is how you treat me and this is how our interactions are. And he was kind of playing that out in different areas of his life, with his boss at work, with one of his children. And it was like incredible for him. He was like, this is so amazing that, I can have these different interactions with people, even though it'd been years of the same. But he said, it's a different story with my mother-in-law. Like, it's just, she's just sour and she clearly doesn't like me. And I don't see, there's a big block. I don't see how anything can change with her. Right. And so he started to do, and this is something that I want to suggest, is he started to do some visualizations where he would go and it would be like the typical situation, show up at her house. But instead of having the typical kind of exchange, he would imagine something very pleasant. He would kiss her on the cheek and she would pat him on the back and say, and all of these beautiful things. And he knew, right? And we didn't tell him it's going to look just like this, as you, whatever you visualize is going to look just like that. But there's going to be something to this energy that you're bringing and this openness to having a new situation. And I swear to God, it was the most incredible 2 weeks. He started this 2 weeks before a dinner that he was going to with her at her house. And the situation was literally, he could not believe the night and day, how he had never imagined that he could even be in the same room with her and not feel just like he was in danger, right? And their conversation, and just, he did in fact greet her with a kiss, and it started everything off totally different. He learned so many things about her, and that, he was able to see that the way she treated him was because she actually felt like she was, how did he put it, backwards, or from a whole different old fashioned and all that stuff. So it was her trying to be, I'm worldly, and you don't know anything, I know all this stuff. But it was really just her own insecurities, and he was able to see it, and she still did a lot of that. So it wasn't that he magically changed her, everything that she said and did. She was softer, but because he had a different expectation, and he was able to stay connected with himself, he could see that it wasn't anything about him. And he had compassion for her. And that's never for us to say, let people treat you poorly, it's okay, they have their thing. It's not that at all. It was just, he was able to be kind of in his greatest self. And because of that, and not that he would allow any poor treatment of him, but at the same time, he didn't internalize it and make anything mean something about him. And in that way, he wasn't triggered. He didn't need to protect, and he could have an experience with her that was very open. And actually, he looks forward to time with her, just for the fact that, wow, I get to be in this situation in a whole new way, in a way that is authentic to me and that I am creating. And so I bring that up, and I encourage all of you to think about that, and to say, if there are certain interactions that you just already know, like, this is going to suck, I just got to get through this thing, maybe try some of the visualization and maybe step into that place. My goal here is not to make you act a different way. My goal is to stay connected with myself and be who I want to be in this situation. And it did change her. Not completely, but it softened her, and enough to allow him to see her in a different capacity, and for them to have real connection.
And the truth is, as you develop yourself and work on yourself, everything's going to change. Why?
Yeah.
You. And you to see with compassion, other people's hurt is their hurt. So hurt people.
Yeah.
Not about, like, I loved how Lori said the energy changed and she was still similar, but different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was
Mia, your mic is cutting out a little bit, and I'm missing some words, and I don't want to miss anything. I wonder what.
Can you still hear me?
It's in and out.
It's our weather. It's snowing.
Oh, yeah.
With snow.
Yeah. Well, maybe can you learn sign language really quick? And Yeah. So, I mean, those are, some really basic things, but if you have a specific situation or, something that you take away some of this information, you start thinking about it and how you want to apply it and you want to follow up with us, please do, because it's really about, we're trying to give some general information, but we know like some of you have these great big, celebrations and there's all these people. Some of you have these small things. Some of you have, situations where there's tension. And so we want to be able to, help you apply things to your individual circumstance. So let us know.
Before we sign off, Lori, I think it's important because we've been sharing, and today's the last day of the Greatest You Academy's Black Friday special.
Yeah.
Can you share just some of the stuff that we work with people? Just 2 minutes and no more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a hard time sometimes because when I get started on this, it's such a beautiful labor of love and on our shared mission in life. And so I tend to get carried away, but I definitely will try to keep it small. Me and I have been in this space for a long time. And one of the things that's really important to us is being able to help a lot of people, not just people with a lot of money. Because coaching is, let's face it, coaching is expensive. It's very valuable and it's very worthwhile, but at the same time, it can't just be for, this certain group of people. And so we have dedicated this last little over a year to really dedicating, how do we bring really good programs and coaching to people and in a broader sense. And so we created the Greatest You Academy, which is 12 modules of incredible work that allows you to get to know your nervous system, like we're talking about, as a base, a foundation for all the work you want to do. Understand who you really are. Understand what is my purpose in life. Who am I? What is actually fulfilling and meaningful? Not all the crap that I took on, that this is what success means. If I don't have this, then I'm not living a full life. It's what does it really mean to you? Who are you authentically? And then we go into, teaching you about your thoughts, the Greatest You thoughts. What are the thoughts that are inconsistent with my truth? How do I deal with my emotions? How do I develop emotional resiliency? Learn to process my emotions, take the information that they have for me and use it, as opposed to getting all caught up in, stress, anxiety, fear, loneliness, whatever it is. Learning about how to take care of yourself better from a physical standpoint with your nutrition, your sleep, your movement, your stress, all of those things. It's about the greatest relationships. And then we move in once we're really solid in those areas and busted through our limiting beliefs and our old patterns that hold us down. Then we move into, okay, now here I stand as my greatest self. What do I want to create in my life? What do I want? I want greatest relationships. I want the greatest career, job, the way I spend my time, the way I devote to the world, the way my spiritual relationship, my health, all of the aspects of life, my spirituality. And so the 12 modules are that's where we take you from where you are now, connecting you to your greatest self, and then to create the greatest life. And the way that we've done it is we offer group coaching. So as you go through the modules, you get to come and be with us live and talk about the integration. How do I apply this in my life? Here's what I'm doing. I've met a stumbling block or a challenge here. Okay, let's work through it. You have a whole community of people that are like-minded and growing, and there's so much momentum and energy and magic to that, when there's a group of people who are committed to becoming the greatest version of themselves. And so we come together in community. And then Mia and I also, so we made that very, very affordable to reach as many people as possible. And the Black Friday special that ends tonight at midnight is membership into the Academy for $97 a month, which includes the coaching, all the modules, and includes the coaching meetings with no minimum, no nothing. Just sign up, get in there, get started, like it, and for however long you want to be involved. like I said, no strings attached, no nothing, $97 a month. Oh,
What?
me, I'm sorry, you're in and out. Shucks. Yeah, and then there's also option for people, we can definitely work with you more intensively too, so you can add that on to the extent that you want that, and we're able to provide that. But we really, like I said, we want to support people, and we're tired of people not being able to be served. If you don't have, $16,000 or $20,000 to invest in, it shouldn't be that way. So we created it and have had beautiful success in it. The people are just so amazing. We have a published author now. We have people stepping into relationships for the first time, and many being ready for that and owning that. People just breaking the barriers that they had set for themselves unknowingly, and really just stepping into these amazing versions of themselves, the truth of who they are, right? It's not creating something new, it's just removing all the junk so that we can be who we're truly meant to be, and who we have the capacity to be. So definitely are looking to grow that community and really get supporting people and more. And so the Black Friday special is part of that.
All right. Close us out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that your mic was working great for the first part, and it's only been these last few minutes that, yes. So definitely, like I said, if you start to think about the things that we discussed today, and you have some specific questions for your situation, definitely reach out. We could also start our next teaching, which will be 2 weeks from today, with any questions that come through today's message and information. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for everybody who's going to watch the replay and be on the Facebook group. And we love doing this. We love to reach out and be with people and talk about the things that are on people's minds. So if you have something that you'd like us to address, we'd be very happy to. Think about the Academy, if it would be something right for you. Let other people know about the Academy, about the Facebook group, because this is a mission for us to touch individual lives, but we know that every individual life that we touch has many lives that they're going to touch. And we really do feel that we can make an impact in the world by creating more community, and with everybody having their own impact on their group of people. And it's not I don't feel bashful at all saying we're going to change the world. And when more people are loving themselves and knowing who they are, everything is going to be different. So help us reach thousands of people, thousands and thousands, and it will just grow and build from there.
Thank you all for.
Yes, thank you. I look forward to next time.
I'm going to turn off the live stream.